Hi everyone, so today we are going to be doing the second challenge of the second series of CyberHackathon.pk of the Android exploitation series, right? Android Application Exploitation, too much offs there. So this challenge is named 2 layers and it was of the easy category, and it had one build error which we will discuss later on. So just to check what we have here: analyze the file, discover the credentials, and try to exploit the web application by discovering the hidden endpoint and exploiting its vulnerabilities. So we are supposed to find some hidden endpoint in this application. So the application requests a valid username and password in order to unlock its own functionality. So maybe we are supposed to find the username and password as well. So there was also another issue in this application which we'll also discover later on, but let's just get started. So as always, we are going to look at the source of the application and see what is happening. So if we go to Android manifest, it will tell us that the main activity is being loaded as soon as the application gets opened. And we won't go line by line in this, but I'll try to just tell you the important instructions here. So right here, I think this is some clickable thing, text view actually, and then we have on click view V. So there is some element of the application which when gets clicked you get this error, are you kidding me? So this application actually crashed for me on Android 8. I'm not sure why, but a friend of mine was saying that it worked for him. But this can be done statically. You don't really need the application itself. So yeah. So going forward, we can see that there's something interesting happening here. It is trying to get a URL from this method get decrypted URL, and that is just right here. So right here it is creating post data to post to that URL itself. So if we look at here, you can see that this URL, and then we have 2 fields, username and user password, which are being fetched, the string value of which is being fetched from the strings.xml file. So we'll also take a look at what is the username and user password. So we have like 2 things here. The third thing we need to actually make this post request is the URL itself, but it seems like the URL is encrypted, and we will have to AES decrypt that URL. We can see the method being called from this class here, which is decrypt, and it is taking 3 parameters actually. The first one is Lahore, welcome to Lahore, and then basically for decode some string, which is the IP address in this case. So this is another variable we are supposed to fetch from the strings XML. Let's take a look at decrypt function, and then we'll fetch these variables. So this is the class. We have encrypt and encrypt with different data types, and then we have decrypt here. So this is the method which is being called. So I guess we are good to go. We know what we have to do. We have to decrypt the IP and then move on with that. So I am going to first fetch the string. So for that, I'm just going to get the source of Java, so I can just easily grab it. It is the same as viewing here, but it's kind of difficult to search in these source code viewers or whatever you call them. So what we need is the IP address, and do a search for that. We have many things, file, and this is the IP which we need. So let's get started. I'm going to create a Java file which we are going to use to decrypt this. So that would be I will just name it layer2 Java to make things easy, and remove this for now. Just create a class that would be layer2, and then in there I'm going to copy this method. So one thing interesting which is happening here is that it is calling another method within itself, which is also decrypt, which takes different data types. So in Java, from what I have seen, is that you can have a method, 2 or 3 methods with the same name, but which can take different data types, right? So this is what differentiates them, right? Not the name. So in Python or something else, you cannot create a function with the same name. As far as I know, maybe you can, but I don't think so. So just like that, but it is actually reversed for Java. You can create another method with decrypt or whatever name you want, and then keep repeating that. But just keep the parameters, a number of parameters and parameter types different, so it will work fine. So you might have seen this in Frida overloading if you have tried that. So I'm going to copy both of these methods, and we are going to rename one of the methods to make it easy on ourselves. Before that, I will import the dependencies. And as always, we know that we cannot actually call the Android libraries, because this is what happens in the emulator or the Android OS itself, which gets imported at runtime when the application works. Maybe you can, so from my research as well, you can actually do that. All you need is a jar file added in the class path. But again, you cannot have all the libraries. I think that would be a really big size, considering Android has many libraries, right? So what we are going to do is, because this is just some simple base64 decoding, we can use Java's own base64 decode library, which makes things easier. And since I have imported it many times about now, I remember the path. So once you keep working with it, you remember it. So yeah, Java util base64 to import the base64 library. In Python, you can do, I think, import base64. So going forward, as I said, let's first analyze this. So this one is taking 2 strings and 1 byte. This is the method which was being called in the main activity. And then this method is calling this another decrypt method, this one. But it is passing whatever it had, converted that to bytes. For the IB bytes, key bytes, and then another bytes, that is actually the string which we are going to decrypt. But we'll be passing that as a byte type, right? It won't be string. So since this is the one which is mainly decrypting stuff, this is just converting types, we are going to call this decrypt text. You can rename it whatever makes sense to you, right? Which doesn't confuse you, you can do that. So I'm just going to add that there. Now I'm going to create a main function to actually call this, and we can just copy the execution of this. So we are going to need 3 things here. 2 parameters, those are IVStir and keystir, which are these. So just copy that in here. Call Lahore, welcome to Lahore. And the third thing is the IP address itself. So I'm going to create a new string with that. So IP address. So we grab that, and it goes in here. There we go. So I'm just going to pass IP address over. So I think we are all good. I don't see any exceptions or any errors. So we can maybe give a try and see if this works. Okay, so it says string cannot be converted to byte. Yeah, so first you have to actually decode because this function itself isn't decoding it. You can either implement that in here, so you can modify the function itself, or you can just base64 decode it before passing it to the function, right? So base64 decode Java library converts whatever string data you have to bytes, right? So to make it easy, because we have other strings to decrypt as well, so we'll have to base64 decode them again and again. I'm just going to implement that in the function itself, right? So I'm going to change this data type to string. This one. So just change the data type. That would be string, and this would be base64 text, I guess we can name that. So there was the byte when I think this is the only occurrence, right? So we can just pass it right there, and we are going to decode that now. So that would be decoded. The type is going to be string, and actually this one is now going to be byte, right? So you call it by this base64.getDecoder.decode, and this is the string, right? So this is a string which we are passing. So I'm just going to add a new line here to know that this is what we modified, and then we are going to pass this one in here because this is the type byte which this one method exactly needs, right? And I think this should work now. We do. So now it is saying that these methods are throwing exceptions which need to be catched. So either you can just remove these from here and add the try main in here. What happens if we totally remove that? Maybe they will work, I guess. Okay, it doesn't. So you have to add that try catch thingy to make it work, or you can just add it here in the main, right, to cover all the methods and their exceptions. So you don't need to remember that. Actually, if you're a Java developer, you can do just like a Python. It's really easy, just do the commands. So I'm going to copy whatever we did here inside of here, and let's see if it works now. Okay, it does, but it is not printing anything because we're returning stuff here. So I'm going to add another. So you can actually, again, add system.out.println in here to save us some statements in the main function itself, or you can just do that. So I think I'll add that in here because that saves us some time. Println some here. There we go. So what's happening? Oh, sorry. So, supposed to be there. And we have some error. I'm not sure why. Why is that? It says error missing return statement 27. Oh, so I'm not sure. Maybe in Java you have to return stuff every time. Is that how we do stuff here? That's kind of lame. So I'm just going to copy that straight up, man. That was a waste of time. So let's just do it here. So the data type we return is string, I guess. So we can just call this decrypted text, right? And then we are going to print that with this. And we have another error. It says cannot be converted to string. So this is of type byte, I guess. Right. So I think we can work with that. Right. So since this is type byte, right, we have this over here. This tells us that this is of type byte, right? So now what we have to do is convert this type byte into string, right? So for that we can just look it up. Java convert byte to string, and let's see what we have here. So we have simply this here. Because it is importing the standard car.udfa, we have to add this on the top of our dependencies. Just import that. And then this line here is going to convert whatever we have in bytes into a string. So I'm going to say decrypted text into string. Sorry for the bad variable name. And we are going to pass that in here. I think it'll work now. Probably. Let's see. And it does. There we go. We got the ID which we have to use to create the request to. So now the other thing, if you remember from the source code, is we need the username and user password. We can just use we can grab for user password, but it won't return anything because this is actually the string name itself. So we have to use these. So this is same, but these aren't. Just keep that in mind in case you do not find the user password. So this is supposed to be our username, Lahore user, and I'm just going to maybe and put here as a comment. Okay. And then we have the user pass, which we are also going to grab, and that is Lahore at 123. So these aren't encrypted. That maybe sometime, or we just had to pass them in here if they were. So with these, now the next thing we are going to do is create a post request. You can actually use curl to do that, but I use perp in the CTF, right? And I also happen to save the project file, right? So I'm not going to create live request because this was an internal server which was hosted inside the CTF itself. So, and I do not have access to it. It is not public or anything, and I cannot deploy it. You can maybe just create an application yourself which would return the data, but you don't have to, right? This is straightforward. So we're going to go step by step what I did, right? So since you have all the steps here in perp. So first, I just created a GET request to this endpoint. It returned 200. Okay, that means it exists, right? That's cool. Next thing I did was, because it asked us that we have to create a post request. We see that over here, right? If you want to look into more details, like what is happening and why, you can just take a look over here. So this is what was happening. So since this doesn't have any post data, we get 401 unauthorized. Oh, sorry about that. I think the response is gone now. Is it? Okay. So let's forget about that. We just overrode the response for that. So not going to send anything now. So I passed the username and user password in the next sequence. So you can see that username and user password are the fields which are being sent, and these are the values, but we still get a 401 unauthorized. So that is because we are not specifying any content type here. I'm not sure why perp didn't specify by itself, but in the next step, I think I did that there. But we still got 401 unauthorized because I typed this from the top of my head, right? This is not an actual content type. And the next thing I did was Google what is the content type for post data. What are the different types, right? You can use anything. So the next one was this application xwww form URL encoded, and you can see that we get HTTP 200 response, and then we have a JWT token. So you can just use perp inspector because the first part of a JWT is the header, the next thing is the signature of this whole JWT, and the part in between these dots is the body of the JWT, right? So this is what we can see. So we can see that we got one of the flags in here. That is this. So I'm just going to copy that, come in here, so that's flags.txt. That is the second flag. And coming back here, we can see that we have some more stuff in the post body, that is admin name and admin pass. So we can actually, use these as well. So one of the issues which I was going to talk about, just see the IP here. And you can see that the IP is mentioned here as well. And this was, I'm not sure if this was intended or not, but to download the layer 2 APK file as well, this APK was also hosted on this IP, just /layer2.apk. So one of my friends solved it this way, right? He didn't had to decrypt it at all, right? What he did was he just simply grabbed the IP, he ran entire search, he found that the /API endpoint is accessible and index.php is also accessible as well. So what he did was, he just grabbed the username password through strings, and then he made the post request, and it worked, right? But he got only one flag. Why? Because he didn't have the decryption code for this admin name and admin pass, because this is the next part which is going to give us the third flag, right? And we cannot get the third flag if we do not do this. So I hope you get the point here, right? Even though I'm not sure if this was intended or not, or if this was a mistake, it was there. One of the flags were up for grab if someone did this, right? So this is just one of the ideas, things you can maybe find out if you get lucky, are just in front of you. So let's continue forward. What we are going to do is actually now decrypt the username and password of what we have here. I'm just going to copy that and paste that right here, right? We don't need this anymore. So the next thing I'm going to do is copy paste this block of code. So we have the data types defined already. So we can find the variable again. I think that will do. This is not a best practice, but we just have to make it work. So this is the first thing which I'm going to call here, and then I'm going to copy paste that again. So I'm just going to add checks over here. This will be for username, and this one is for password, and this one is for address. So in a CTF, you do not have time to do these things. I'm just doing that here, and I would suggest you to do the same. Just make it quick, because this was when you have to find the flags. Second thing, this was a time-based one, so you had to save you some time. Whoever submitted the flags first was actually on the top right. I'm going to use this. So we have super admin and super box. These are the credentials of the admin which were decrypted. So the next thing we are going to do is just put them in here and send another request. And when we do, you can see that the JWT changed, and we have updated JWT, and we get the third flag in here, which says CTF, third Lahore, ready for Lahore, and this was the third flag. If you want to, look at the JWT in a proper way, I think I had written a script for it, JWT cluster. So, it'll just tell us where all the JWT header, and you can, just copy that from here. And there we go. So we got two of the flags here, and you might have seen here that we only discovered two as well. So this was because one error in this application itself, which was that you cannot grab the third flag. So I'll just show you right now. for that we are going to take a look at the strings file. Let's go into layer 2. For the word flag. So there is like too many input. If you want to tone it a little bit, right? One thing you can do is we had the variable here as flag 1. Right? I don't remember looking it in the source. We can just I remember looking it into the source and then searching it, but I'm not sure if we can do that now. So we can just do a search. So you can see that there is this flag string, or to be more generic, you can just ignore this Android files, and you can directly jump to your com.example.test. And if we try to find that in here, do we get it or not? So it is showing only 1 to 200 of 623. So maybe you'll skip on some stuff, right? So you have to do this, or you can just try and change some stuff, try and add strings here, or you can grab it easily. So the issue here was that this string here, it's a string too large, right? So we wasted some time in the CTF trying to encrypt this, because you can see that there are encrypt methods in here which are not being used anywhere in the application, in the whole application, So that just gives an image that you have to encrypt this string, and then you have to pass that string to as a flag. But that didn't work. Why? Because after the CTF ended, I googled this error. A friend of mine did as well. I talked with him as well, and he confirmed that string too large, Android error. So it's actually not an error; it's a warning. That is why I think the creator of this challenge, just skipped it or skimmed through it. You can see that some guy uncovered this, and I was seeing a really good article. I don't know if I can find it right now, but that guy explained it in depth why this happens and what is the fix. So as you can see, this was actually build error. No one would have been able to find that flag, because you can see that this happens when maybe you specify the wrong data type or something. Error in the project. Alright, you can probably not. You can if you're not looking at the build log properly, you might skip over this, and I think that is what happened with the dev. So yeah. The third flag isn't grabbable if you're trying to do this challenge, and if you tried it in the CTF itself and it didn't work out, so this was one of the reasons, right? So we have our second and third flag here. We don't need that one, and actually no one would have been able to solve it, so it's fine. So this one had one of my friends also, he was like, what is it, right? He was trying to submit it with a comma, and we did it as well. It didn't work out. I just, cross-match them, and you had to just, replace this with underscore here. And it worked. It was as simple as that. So yeah, that's it. We were able to find 2 flags of this, and anyone would have done the same. So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.